your project and go. I don't need your money anymore. Whether Qianqian lives or dies, I'll bear it alone. Shu Zhengke's face turned pale. He pointed at his daughter, speechless for a long time. Finally, he flung his hand down. Fine. Don't you dare regret this? Gay Manhwa's eyes were red as she sighed. Shu Hai wanted to say something but stopped. The whole family turned and left. The area outside the operating room suddenly fell dead silent. Shu Meng slumped down onto the bench. Tears fell silently from her eyes. I gently wrapped my arm around her shoulders. 4 hours later, the operating room light turned off. The attending physician walked out. A smile bloomed on his face. The surgery was a great success. She needs to be monitored in the ICU for 48 hours, but the post-operative prognosis is very optimistic. Shu Meng's legs gave out. I caught her just in time. She covered her face. Tears streamed through her fingers, but this time they were tears of joy. 2 months later, Qianqian was cleared for discharge. Her complexion was much rosier, although she still needed medication and regular checkups. She could already run and jump around. To celebrate her new lease on life, we made a reservation at a newly opened high-end steakhouse. When she was in the hospital, I promised her that once she got better, I'd take her to eat the best steak ever. The atmosphere in the steakhouse was very elegant. Qianqian excitedly swung her little legs in her chair. Shu Meng helped her spread her napkin. All the dishes had been served. I was just about to cut the steak when a sharply dressed young man walked past our aisle. He casually glanced over, and his eyes stopped on Shu Meng. He suddenly froze. Looking at Shu Meng, a look of surprise crossed his face. Soon after, it morphed into a meaningful smirk. He took a few steps closer. His gaze swept over me and Qianqian, lingering on Qianqian for a moment longer. Finally, his eyes returned to Shu Meng's face. I heard you got married, and this is... Shu Meng's fingers tightened slightly. This man was Zhou Feng, the blind date Shu Meng's parents had tried so hard to set her up with back in the day. Seeing him, Shu Meng's body visibly stiffened. Zhou Feng. Shu Meng's voice was a bit unnatural. What a coincidence. Zhou Feng turned to me, sizing me up from head to toe. The scrutinizing look was blatantly obvious. He held out his hand. You must be Mr. Chen.
A pleasure. Is this your kid?
She has gotten so big. I stood up and shook his hand. He intentionally squeezed a bit harder. I didn't flinch, just looked at him calmly. Since it's such a coincidence, you wouldn't mind if we joined you, right? Zhou Feng said, taking advantage of the situation. He turned and introduced the heavily made-up woman behind him. Hyping! This is an old friend of mine, Shu Meng and her husband. Meng Meng. This is my girlfriend. He emphasized the words old friend and girlfriend with heavy implication. Whipping's eyes quickly swept over Shu Meng, finally landing on Shu Meng's clothes. A look of smug superiority appeared on her face. She smiled. Sister Shu.
Right. What a coincidence.
Let's sit together. Under the table, Shu Meng gently grabbed my hand. I squeezed her hand back. I smiled at Whipping. Calling her sister Shu is too polite. You look much more mature than my wife. Whipping's face stiffened. Zhou Feng ordered a few expensive dishes, then looked at me. Mr. Chen, where do you work these days? I just run a small business. I replied calmly. A small business is good too.
Lots of freedom.
Zhou Feng turned to the waiter. Bring us a bottle of 2015 Montrachet white wine. Let it breathe first. He rattled off the wine's name fluently, then looked towards Shu Meng. Meng Meng, I remember you didn't drink much before, but this restaurant's white wine paired with seafood is truly a masterpiece. You should try a little. Whipping immediately chimed in.
That's right.
Feng is very particular about his food and drinks. This bottle probably isn't cheap, is it? On the surface, she was asking Zhou Feng, but her eyes darted towards Shu Meng. Zhou Feng feigned nonchalance. It's all right, as long as it pairs well with today's meal. That's what matters. The wine was quickly brought over. The waiter, following proper etiquette, poured a little wine into Zhou Feng's glass for him to taste. Zhou Feng gently swirled the glass, took a sniff, took a sip, let the aftertaste linger in his mouth for a moment, and then nodded. It's good. He put on quite a show throughout the whole process. The waiter was about to pour wine for everyone. I raised my hand and gently stopped him. I picked up the wine glass in front of Shu Meng and said to the waiter, please change this glass. This glass hasn't been chilled long enough. It'll affect the fruity aroma and mineral notes of the Montrachet, especially its relatively delicate structure. The waiter was stunned. He hurriedly apologized and went to get a new glass. I took the new glass, inspected it carefully, and then signaled that he could pour the wine. The calm facade on Zhou Feng's face began to crack. Shu Meng looked at me in astonishment. She picked up her glass and carefully took a small sip. Zhou Feng cleared his throat. Mr. Chen seems quite knowledgeable about wine glasses. However, the characteristics of the Montrachet region are actually more prominent. It achieves a balance between the elegance of Pouligny and the richness of Chassagne. I gave a faint smile. The vintage of this bottle is decent, but if you really wanted to pair it with today's seafood, then actually, the Corton from the neighboring estate, the Corton Charlemagne Dry White, the 2014 vintage would probably complement the structure much better. Zhou Feng's expression faltered. His face darkened as he changed the subject. Meng, I started my own landscaping company 2 years ago, specializing in auxiliary projects for major real estate developments. It's hard work, sure, but the income is pretty good. He held up 2 fingers and wagged them. He wiping immediately chimed in. Feng is being too modest. He makes over 2 million yuan a year. You know the Xingrong Group, for their high-end real estate properties. We're the ones handling all the landscaping. She looked towards Xu Meng, pretending to care. If you two ever want to buy a house, just come to Feng. He's very close with a lot of developers. He can definitely get you the lowest internal price. I saw Xu Meng's lips press tightly together. Zhou Feng looked at me, pretending to be generous as he waved his hand.
Hyping, don't say that.
Meng, it really is time for you guys to upgrade from that old house of yours. If you need help, just say the word anytime. I can get you the internal price. It'll definitely be hundreds of thousands cheaper than the market rate. Xu Meng's fingers clenched tightly under the table. I gently held her hand. No need. If we want a discounted house, I have my own channels. Zhou Feng clearly looked unconvinced. This isn't the time to act tough. I heard money's been pretty tight for you two lately. Saving hundreds of thousands is real money. Why let your pride get in the way? He wiping immediately echoed him. Exactly. Feng is really close with the bosses at the development companies. All it takes is one word from him. Wouldn't it be better to use the money you saved to buy some nutritious food for your kid? The place you guys are living in right now.
Yikes.
We genuinely just want what's best for you. His gaze swept over Xu Meng's clothes. Xu Meng's face flushed red. She was about to speak up, but my hand gently held hers back under the table. I picked up my water glass and took a sip. The anger in my heart began to flare up. Today was a day to celebrate my daughter's new lease on life. I didn't come here to listen to you two put on a double act. I was just about to tell them to get lost. Mr. Chen. A slightly surprised voice came from behind. We looked over and saw Liu Xingrong striding over from the private rooms, a genuine smile on his face. I was a bit surprised. When I came in, I saw the wall of fame and noticed a photo of him with the owner. I didn't expect to actually run into him. President Liu, you're here. Zhou Feng sprang up like he was on a spring, knocking his chair over with a clatter. A loud crash rang out. His face was full of sycophancy. He bowed and reached out with both hands to greet him. President Liu, what a coincidence. I'm Zhou Feng from the landscaping company. At your company's appreciation banquet late last year, I even offered you a toast. Do you remember me? As he spoke, he even shot us a smug glance. Liu Xingrong frowned slightly. He clearly didn't remember this guy, but his eyes quickly swept past Zhou Feng and landed on me. Out of politeness, Liu Xingrong still reached out and shook his hand. His tone was indifferent. Hello? Just a light handshake like that, but Zhou Feng looked like head just downed a shot of Mao Tai. His cheeks flushed red, and his spine straightened up. However, Liu Xingrong almost immediately withdrew his hand and turned toward me. He strode right past the dumbfounded Zhou Feng and extended his hand to me. Hello, Mr. Chen. What a coincidence. Ever since our last meeting, I've been wanting to get in touch with you, but I was afraid of interrupting your family time. Running into you today must be fate. I stood up and shook his hand.
Hello, President Liu.
Long time no see.
I saw Zhou Feng standing to the side, his eyes wide as saucers. He looked like had been struck by lightning, rooted to the spot. The eager smile on his face hadn't even faded yet, now mixed with sheer astonishment. His expression was indescribably ridiculous. He wiping didn't know who Liu Xingrong was. She only saw her boyfriend being brushed aside, while a fruit seller like me was chatting and laughing with this distinguished man. She pursed her lips and muttered just loud enough to be heard. Wow, nowadays even fruit sellers can talk real estate. What a joke. The moment those words left her mouth, the atmosphere instantly froze. Liu Xingrong's smile vanished. His gaze swept over he wiping, then back to me, his eyes carrying a questioning look. I let go of his hand and said calmly, "They're old acquaintances of my wife. Just ran into them. They're quite enthusiastic too. Heard we wanted to buy a house and insisted on getting us an internal discount for your project." Liu Xingrong was a sly old fox. He understood the situation the moment he heard it. A smile reappeared on his face, but it was now laced with tact and a hint of coldness. He looked at me, his voice booming. "Oh, my brother? Listen to what you're saying." He patted my arm. "With our relationship, if you're buying a house from me, why even talk about discounts?" His gaze shifted to the dumbfounded Zhou Feng and he weeping. His smile remained unchanged, but his tone carried a casual, condescending air. "My brother's sister-in-law and the little one too." He looked at Qianqian kindly. "Whichever project or house of mine you have your eye on, just say the word." He waved his hand, decisively, I'll just give you one. Those words were like a thunderclap. I saw Zhou Feng's face turn deathly pale in an instant. His eyes bulged as if they were about to pop out of his head. His mouth hung open and his body swayed. He wiping was completely stunned. She looked at Lu Xingrong, then at me, and then at her boyfriend's shell-shocked state. She opened her mouth but couldn't utter a word when Liu Xingrong brought us into his private room. The three senior executives inside were clearly taken aback. Liu Xingrong enthusiastically introduced me. This is Mr. Chen Zuisheng, my benefactor. The three executives stood up and nodded in greeting, but their eyes couldn't hide their doubt.
What kind of benefactor is this young?
And he brought his wife and kid along. Liu Xingrong personally poured tea for me.
Brother, thank you for the heads up last time.
The Kuihu Tiandi project increased in value just like you predicted. Profits are up by 30%. The board of directors just decided to go all in on that area for the next 2 years. I set my teacup down and said calmly, President Liu, the subway extension has been finalized, but Ninghai's focus for the next 5 years won't be in the east.
What?
The three of them exclaimed in unison. Director Wang of marketing frowned. Mr. Chen,
What do you mean by that?
we've conducted detailed surveys. The land reserves in that area are abundant. Plus, with the support of the subway line, it's definitely a value depression. Director Zhou of the investment department added, the city government's work report also mentioned, expanding the urban framework to the east. The policy direction is very clear. Vice President Zhang didn't say anything, but his eyes clearly showed suspicion. Liu Xingrong leaned forward, waiting for my next words. I looked him straight in the eye. Everything you guys said makes sense, but you've all missed one crucial variable, the anti-corruption campaign. The private room instantly fell silent. The new mayor was transferred from the Nanchang New District of Linqi. That place just went through a massive personnel shakeup last year. If his first fire isn't aimed at cleaning up the bureaucracy, how is he supposed to establish his authority? I lightly tapped my finger on the table. The eastward expansion involves too many things. Land use rights transfers, demolition compensation, project bidding. The water is too deep. During this sensitive time, he won't touch it. On the contrary, my voice was full of certainty. Hell, choose the path of least resistance. The direction that's easiest to generate political achievements. I pointed my finger. The renovation of the old neighborhoods in the southwest, and the expansion of the riverside area, property rights, they are very complicated. As a result, no one dares to casually meddle in it. It has the foundation of a township area, and the advantage of riverside scenery. As long as the policy leans slightly in that direction, its value will instantly skyrocket. As for the east, I shook my head. Right now, that place is like a pressure cooker. Anyone who jumps in could get trapped under the lid, unable to escape. They won't be able to budge for 3 to 5 years. As soon as I finished speaking, the whole room was dead silent. I saw the expressions of those three senior executives freeze on their faces. Liu Xingrong's hand, holding his tea, stopped in midair. His eyes shifted from shock to sudden realization. He suddenly recalled that at a banquet a few days ago, a certain leader had casually mentioned upgrading the old neighborhoods. That's also a direction. I turned my head and caught Xu Meng's gaze. Her eyes were wide open, looking at me in utter astonishment.
Shocking.
Truly shocking, Liu Xingrong muttered, repeating it to himself. Then, he slammed his teacup down and suddenly stood up. He walked around the table, picked up the teapot, and personally poured me more tea, if we only consider the economics. Without taking politics into account, then it'd truly be a reckless fool. Brother Chen, you've taught us an incredibly important lesson today. I saw the three senior managers take a sharp breath. Since when had Liu Xingrong ever been this humble with anyone? You flatter me, Brother Liu. I smiled. I was just speaking my mind. Please forgive me if I said anything out of line. Just speaking your mind. Liu Xingrong shook his head. Every word you said is worth its weight in gold. Actually, gold doesn't even cut it. Those words are worth tens of billions. Liu Xingrong sat back down, his eyes gleaming. You've done me such a massive favor. I can't just take it for nothing. Everything I promised outside still stands. What kind of house do you two want? I'll gift you one. Under the table, Xu Meng suddenly squeezed my hand. There is no need for a gift. I shook my head. I'll buy it. Where do you want to buy? Take your pick. I'll give you the absolute lowest price. I smiled. I want the southeast zone, the stalls at the Wanjiahui wholesale market, and a small apartment in Wenshin Jiyuan right next door. Around 80 or 90 square meters will do. I saw everyone freeze in shock. The southeast zone was a remote plot of land the company hadn't fully developed yet. It was just filled with supplementary buildings, low-tier properties that basically made no money. Are you messing with me, brother? Liu Xingrong frowned. That place is way too remote. Let me give you a high-end Riverview apartment at Jinbi Haiyan. I still shook my head. I'm in the fruit business. Being near the wholesale market suits me better, and having a house right next door makes daily life easier. Liu Xingrong stared at me for a few seconds. Suddenly, he laughed. A somewhat helpless but highly appreciative smile. Alright, if you're dead set on buying it, I won't stop you. let's do this. He slapped the table. Pick whichever stall you want. I'll give it to you at the cost price of 100,000 yuan. If you offer even a penny more, I'll get mad at you. 100,000 yuan. That was practically giving it away. I raised my cup in agreement. Deal. Brother Lu, thank you. The two teacups clinked lightly. I could feel it. Shu Meng's eyes were glued to my face. She looked at me, then at the three senior managers who were still dumbfounded. Her lips parted, but in the end, she didn't say a word. After making an appointment with Lu Xingrong to check out the commercial spaces tomorrow, we headed home. Shu Meng stopped by the fruit stall first. She really wanted to upgrade our little stall into a wholesale dealership at the big market or supermarket. I let her clean up the odds and ends of the stall first, while I carried Qianqian home. Just as we entered the residential compound, I was stopped by Auntie Huang, who was walking her grandson.
Oh my.
Qianqian, last time you were playing with Xiaobao, what did Grandma tell you? Kids need to be obedient. If you don't listen to me, you'll get sick. Remember hearing these words. A fierce anger flared up inside me. Whether my daughter was a good girl or not, wouldn't I know best?
Did she get sick because she was naughty and disobedient? Bullshit.
I looked down. Little Qianqian was clearly terrified, shrinking back behind me. Qianqian, I said clearly. From now on, when you're outside, no matter who makes you uncomfortable, just come tell Daddy. Daddy will protect you. With that, I turned to leave. Hey now, don't be in such a rush. She chased after me. I heard Qianqian's illness cost a fortune. Are you guys planning to sell your house? I stopped in my tracks. Who told you that? The whole neighborhood is talking about it. If you're really selling, let me buy it. We're neighbors after all. Just don't make the price too steep, all right. As she spoke, she dug into her grandson's dirty pocket, pulled out a piece of candy, and tried to shove it into Qianqian's mouth. Have some candy. I grabbed her wrist, snatched the candy away, and tossed it aside. The house is not for sale. Stop listening to nonsense. With that, I turned and headed upstairs. Behind me, her curses rang out. You're just a family-ruining loser. What are you acting all high and mighty for? Serves you right for being dead broke. After Shu Meng came home, hearing it was Auntie Huang. Her face darkened. Shez, the biggest gossip in the neighborhood. Don't let her get to you. We didn't pay it any mind, but I never expected that idle gossip could stir up such a storm. The next evening, I was playing with Qianqian when Shu Meng's phone rang. She picked it up, listened for a moment, and her expression completely changed. Mom, what are you saying? We are absolutely not selling the house. She hung up. She looked at me, her brows furrowed tightly. My mom said Auntie Huang bumped into them at the supermarket. She told them we were planning to sell the house. My dad is furious. I was just about to explain. When the phone rang again, it was Liu Xingrong's secretary calling to confirm the time for viewing the shop tomorrow. After hanging up, I saw Shu Meng staring at me. She hesitated to speak.
What's wrong?
Nothing. She shook her head, then added, my dad is very stubborn. If he actually believed Auntie Huang, he's definitely going to do something about it. I held her hand. As for the house, everything will be cleared up once we finish the paperwork tomorrow. She nodded, but the worry on her brow didn't fade. What I didn't know was that at this very moment, Xu Zhengqi was tearing his house apart looking for the property deed. Found it. He tightly gripped the dark red booklet. Targeting this house, huh? His eyes were filled with malice. Isn't that what he's after? Fine. I'll give him exactly what he wants. Qiyu Manru stood beside him, her eyes red. Old Shu, if you really do this?
What about Meng Meng? What about Meng Meng?
Shu Zhengqi cut her off. Shez been completely bewitched by that bastard. If we wait until Chen Zuisheng gets his hands on this house, then she and the kid will truly have nowhere to live. He stuffed the property deed into his jacket. Gritting his teeth, he said, I'm getting this done tomorrow. Once the reverse mortgage paperwork is finalized, this house will have absolutely nothing to do with them anymore, unless Chen Zuisheng gets the hell out, and Meng Meng agrees to a divorce. Otherwise, they can forget about ever living in this house. Qiyu Manru opened her mouth to say something, but ultimately stayed silent. Outside the window, the night was pitch black. The lights in the residential compound went out one by one. During breakfast, Shu Meng looked very happy. I could feel her excitement about going to see the shop space today. Qianqian swung her little legs and asked her mom, are we gonna have a super big fruit shop from now on?
That's right.
Shu Meng's voice was gentle. Qianqian can eat whatever she wants. Yay. The fragrant aroma of porridge mingled with the smell of fried eggs. Simple, yet peaceful. But it didn't last long. Bang, bang, bang. Heavy. Urgent knocking echoed from the door. Shu Meng went to open it. Shu Zhengqi and his wife stood outside, their faces pale with anger. Mom, Dad, what's wrong? Sorry to interrupt your little house-selling meeting. Shu Zhengqi marched straight through the door, glaring daggers right at me. Selling the house, Shu Meng was stunned. Qiyu Manru, her eyes red, pointed at me. Chen Zuisheng. Are you drowning in debt? And that's why you came up with the idea to sell the house. Do you have no shame at all? I put down my chopsticks.
Mom, Dad, you've misunderstood.
I don't owe any money and am not selling the house.
Shut your mouth.
Shu Zhengqi roared, cutting me off. Is there a single word of truth that comes out of your mouth? He turned to look at Shu Meng, his voice rising sharply.
Meng.
You have to divorce him. Divorce him right now. Hez 2 million yuan in debt. Hez even about to sell the house. If you don't divorce him, are you planning to drag Qianqian out to sleep on the streets? Shu Meng panicked. Mom, Dad,
You've got it all wrong.
none of that is true. Who have you been listening to? Do we even need to hear it from anyone? Giyu Manru burst into tears. The whole neighborhood is talking about it. Meng, my heart aches for you. Just divorce him and come home to us. Our home will always be open to you. We don't need you to interfere. Shu Meng's voice dropped. How we live our lives. We know best. We don't need you worrying about it.
What do you know?
Shu Zhengqi bellowed. I think you've completely lost your mind. Give me a straight answer today. He glared fiercely at Shu Meng, enunciating every single word. Are you going to divorce him or not? Shu Meng bit her lip tightly, saying nothing. Not divorcing him, huh? Fine. His chest heaved with fury. I'm taking this house back. Whether you two end up rich or poor, it has nothing to do with the Shu family anymore. Consider it as if I never had a daughter. Those last few words pierced Shu Meng's heart like an awl. I saw her sway on her feet, her face deathly pale. Tears welled up, but she stubbornly refused to let them fall. She looked at her father's twisted face, and her weeping mother who didn't even dare to look at her. Then, she wiped her tears. Her voice trembled, but it was incredibly clear. I'm not divorcing him. If you want to cut ties, then so be it. We won't live in this house anymore. Well, move out today. Shu Zhengqi's eyes widened. If he were seeing his daughter for the very first time. You're really something? He was shaking with rage. I'm coming to take the house back tomorrow. With that, he grabbed Gu Manru and stormed off. Giyu Manru stumbled, looking back over her shoulder. Meng, how did you become like this? Your father is only doing this for your own good. Shu Meng screamed at his retreating back. Hez the one who said he wanted to cut ties. Hez the one who said he wanted the house back. I agreed to it.
Isn't that being obedient?
Giyu Manru's face turned ugly as well. Just keep letting that Chen guy brainwash you. You don't even want your own parents anymore.
Just pretend I never gave birth to a daughter like you.
The door slammed shut. A few seconds later, Shu Meng threw herself into my arms. The sobs she had been holding back finally burst out. How could they say such things? She cried so hard her whole body shook. I held her tightly, gently patting her back. Qianqian hugged her mom's legs, sobbing softly. Mommy, don't cry. Once Shu Meng had calmed down, I wiped away her tears and looked into her red eyes. I glanced around the cramped, rundown house. We can't stay here forever anyway. It's time we had a home of our own. She looked up at me. Don't worry about the money. I took her hand.
Let's go look at the shop.
She nodded, then went into the bedroom and brought out a dress, a pale blue one. I recognized it immediately. It was the nicest outfit she had bought since we got married. She usually couldn't bear to wear it. Watching her try on that old dress, my heart suddenly ached. There was still over 3 million yuan in the card. It was time to buy her and our daughter some decent clothes. Let's go. Shu Meng smiled at me after changing into the dress.
Let's go see your big business venture.
Just as we got downstairs and reached the street, 2 honks sounded beside us. Beep, beep. Turning around, the window of a black Mercedes rolled down, revealing Liu Xingrong's smiling face. Brother? Sister-in-law? Hop in. I paused for a moment, then smiled. This Liu Xingrong. He didn't even bring his driver. He actually drove here himself to pick us up. The car rolled toward the southeast zone. On the way, Liu Xingrong chatted. Brother, Wan Jiahui was originally built just to use up leftover materials. The location is a bit remote. It's neither in the new development zone nor the old town. He turned onto a somewhat run-down street. This area is called the resettlement zone. Quite a few people from the old town were relocated here. The roads are wide and the houses are brand new, but the supporting facilities haven't caught up yet. The subway line hasn't even opened. I looked out the window and said, once people move in, they have to live their lives. The demand will gradually increase. I knew very well in my heart, thanks to the demolition and resettlement. In a few years, this place would become the most dynamic grassroots economy in Ninghai, one of the most bustling underground hubs, Wanjiawei being the earliest to form, and the largest comprehensive wholesale market in the area. Would become a massive magnet. The stalls here might look like nothing special right now, but soon enough, getting a spot would be harder than reaching the sky. I wouldn't dare say it could feed 3 generations, but to keep our family of 3 well-fed and warmly clothed for a lifetime, it would be more than enough. The car stopped outside the market. Shu Meng looked at the empty parking lot and the deserted entrance. She frowned and whispered, Zhu Sheng, is this place really okay? Lu Xingrong said sincerely, look brother, I still have a few small stalls on the Xinjiang Road pedestrian street. The location is absolutely prime. Let me set you up with one of those. I shook my head. The consumer demographic on Xinjiang Road doesn't suit us, but here is perfect. Don't let its current emptiness fool you. In the future, this place is going to boom beyond imagination. On Liu Xingrong's face, a smile bloomed, but his eyes revealed his doubt. I casually dropped a hint.
Brother Lu.
Don't be in a rush to transfer your shares in Wanjiahui. If any minor shareholders want to pull out, buy up all their shares. In the future, this southeast zone and Wanjiahui will be a treasure trove laying golden eggs. Every inch of land will be worth its weight in gold. Lu Xingrong's eyes narrowed. Brother, are you serious? I looked him straight in the eye. Whether it's true or not depends entirely on whether you're willing to believe it. Lu Xingrong didn't say anything else. He looked around the empty outskirts of the market, lost in thought.
Let's go inside and take a look.
He regained his cheerful demeanor and led us inside. When the property manager saw Lu Xingrong, he immediately jogged over. Chairman Lu, show us the commercial spaces, especially the prime locations. The manager eagerly led the way, taking us to a prime spot near the main entrance. President Lu, Mr. Chen, please, take a look at this unit. He pointed to a space that was significantly larger than the rest. This is one of the largest spaces in our market. The location is absolutely prime. The area is spacious, and it's great for displays. Whatever you sell here, it'll look incredibly high-end. This space really wasn't bad. Very bright and well-ventilated. Lu Xingrong looked over at me. Brother, are you happy with this one? Shu Meng's eyes lit up, waiting for my decision. I shook my head. I'm not taking this one. Huh! The manager was stunned.
Look, man.
Huh! The manager was stunned.
Look, man. This is the best location we have.
I shook my head, my gaze shifting deeper into the market. Let's go check out the side entrance. The side entrance? The manager was confused. There is barely any foot traffic over there. It's a bit remote. Just lead the way. We walked to the northwest side entrance. This area was near the freight corridor and right on the edge of the parking lot. Foot traffic was extremely sparse. Most of the spaces near the side entrance were empty. The glass was covered in a thick layer of dust. My eyes landed on an inconspicuous stall. It wasn't directly facing the side entrance, but was recessed slightly inward. There was also a load-bearing pillar right next to it.
Right then, I pointed at it.
Seeing the stall, Shu Meng couldn't help but speak up, looking at the deserted surroundings, then at the stall hidden behind the pillar. Her face was full of doubt. Lu Xingrong also frowned. Brother, this location is way too remote. The lighting is poor, and that pillar blocks the entire view. Why don't we go back to the front and look around some more? No need to look anymore, I said firmly. This is the spot. Why this spot? Shu Meng asked softly. I lowered my voice. Because of the feng shui. Good feng shui. I pointed at the load-bearing pillar. Look at this pillar. In feng shui, it represents a solid backing. The stall being recessed inward helps gather energy and store the wind. Once wealth flows in, it won't easily scatter. I pointed toward the freight corridor outside the side entrance. The passing vehicles represent motion. Our spot represents stillness. Motion and stillness combined, creating endless growth. Shu Meng was dumbfounded hearing this. Lu Xingrong didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and didn't try to persuade me anymore. Alright, since you've got your heart set on it. It was him. He told the manager, take this unit and get the contract ready. He didn't even go back to the office. Instead, he had the manager bring the contract to the Mercedes. Right there in the car, Tu Meng and I signed the lease agreement, a 30-year term with an option to renew. The total rent was 100,000 yuan. At this price, it was basically a gift. Tu Meng held the contract, giving the most relieved smile Shed had all day. Zhu Sheng, where are we going now? The shop is settled, so let's look for a house around here. If we find one we like, we'll buy it. At the mention of buying a house, Tu Meng's eyes lit up.
That's right.
Buying a house. Lu Xingrong chimed in. Brother, you want to buy a house nearby?
Easy.
There's Yue Jintai nearby, and Dongmen Mingzhu. They're both developed by my company or partners. Whichever one you set your sights on, it'll give you the lowest price possible. I shook my head. No need for those places.
Let's just go check out Wenshin Jiayuan.
Wenshin Jiayuan. Lu Xingrong was stunned. That's a resettlement area from a few years ago. It was sold out and handed over a long time ago. Now it's mostly secondhand sales. I knew what he meant. He could influence the price of new houses. But for secondhand ones, it's hard to directly affect the price. I smiled slightly. I knew whether it was new or old didn't matter. As long as the location was right. Lu Xingrong made a phone call. Less than 15 minutes later, a white commercial van drove up. The door opened. A man in his 40s stepped out. He had a bit of a beer belly. President Liu, what brings you here in person? He trotted over, reaching out both hands, then he turned to us. My name is Zhu.
Zhu Fulai.
Fulai Real Estate. Whatever President Liu asks, he'll handle it. Liu Xingrong nodded slightly. Old Zhu, this is Mr.
Chen, my brother.
He wants to see some houses in Wenshin Jiayuan. Got anything suitable? Of course, of course. Zhu Fulai patted his chest confidently. Since President Liu spoke up, the brokerage fee is waived. Consider it a gesture of friendship. There are 4 units for sale in Wenshin Jiayuan right now. We went to see them one by one. The first 3 were quite ordinary. The last one was on the top floor. As soon as the door opened, sunlight flooded the entire room. It was a shell unit with concrete floors and bright, clean white walls. Tu Meng walked into the living room. The view at the end suddenly opened up. Outside was a terrace, about 90 square meters in size. Zhu Fulai stepped closer to explain, Mrs. Chen. Technically, this terrace is a common area, but look at the layout. This is the only unit on the top floor. Outsiders can't just wander up here. If you enclose the entrance, it's essentially your own private garden. Tu Meng didn't say anything, just stood in the sunlight, looking out at the open space. I stepped forward. If we enclose this area, we can put up a trellis for climbing roses over there, and build a flower bed for hydrangeas here. In the southeast corner, we'll put a rattan table and 2 chairs. On summer nights, we can sit here, drink tea, eat watermelon, and watch the stars. Tu Meng turned her head to look at me. She didn't say a word, but her eyes were slightly red. The house was 120 square meters. With the terrace, the total usable space was 180 square meters. I looked at her. Meng, do you like it? She didn't answer immediately, just looked around for a long time. Then, she gave a slight nod. Liu Xingrong immediately spoke up. Brother, let's lock this one in. Don't worry about the renovations. I'll take care of it. He waved his hand dismissively. This project was developed by my company. We have all the blueprints ready. I'll have someone enclose the balcony, open a door from the living room, install a spiral staircase outside, and add a glass roof on top. We have the materials in the warehouse. I'll get it done for you while I'm at it. Tu Meng asked, how much will that cost? Oh, please. Liu Xingrong laughed brightly. Sister-in-law, don't mention money to me. A little decoration like this is just a small favor. He had decided I was someone worth befriending. I didn't stand on ceremony. All right.
Thank you, Brother Liu.
Zhu Fulai was about to finalize the deal for this unit. President Zhu, I turned to him. I'll take all 4 units. What? Zhu Fulai was stunned. Tu Meng whipped her head around, looking at me in disbelief. Liu Xingrong was also surprised. Brother, do you think this space isn't enough? I have a 300 square meter villa over at Yuejingtai. There is no need for this. I smiled and waved him off.
Brother Liu.
I really like this location. I looked out the window. It's close to Wanjiahui, within walking distance. There is a kindergarten right next door for Qianqian's school. And Meng's business, it's very convenient. Tu Meng tugged on my sleeve. She lowered her voice. We don't need to buy 4 houses, honey. Even though there was still over 3 million yuan in the account. I took her hand. Trust me, we won't lose money on this. She opened her mouth to say something, but eventually suppressed her worry. I turned back to Zhu Fulai. President Zhu, please prepare the contracts for all 4. The total for all 4 was just a bit over 2 million yuan. There was still over 1 million left in the account, enough to start the shop and keep the capital flowing. The contract signing went smoothly. Moving was even smoother. Liu Xingrong made a phone call. Half an hour later, the moving truck arrived. 3 young men finished moving everything before noon. The top floor needed renovations, so we stayed temporarily in a unit on the 5th floor. The previous owner had never lived there. It only needed a simple cleaning. With a new set of curtains, the house was sparkling clean. Tu Meng placed the pothos plant shed raised for years on the windowsill. Chan Qin kicked off her shoes and ran around happily on the new floor. She ran from room to room, like a little bird chirping with joy.
Mommy, is this room mine?
Daddy, are we gonna live here from now on? Tu Meng sat on the sofa that Liu Xingrong had just gifted us. He said it was a floor model from the warehouse, but it was actually brand new. Even the plastic wrap hadn't been removed. She looked around, watching her daughter run and play. Her gaze was a bit dazed. Yesterday, she was still squeezed into that dark, damp, dilapidated house. This morning, she was still in a heated argument with her parents. Now, she was sitting in a spacious, bright new home. She already had a commercial stall under her name, and 4 houses under both our names. That top-floor apartment with the terrace was waiting for us to turn it into a garden in the clouds. It happened so fast, it felt like a dream. Sunlight streamed in through the window, in her slightly moist eyes. Tiny glints of light reflected. I saw how moved my wife was. In that moment, I felt that spending over 2 million yuan was worth every penny. 0.2 million yuan for 4 houses. I knew deep down just how valuable this investment was. In just 1 year, the educational landscape of Ninghai would undergo a seismic shift. A former leader in the capital, originally from Ninghai, was about to retire from an important position. He had lived a life of integrity, but for this one time, he took the initiative to propose a plan. He wanted to leave something behind for his birthplace. Not just a school in name only, not just a donation for construction, but something real. Bringing the best educational resources from the capital, the North China affiliated primary school, to Ninghai, and the location chosen for the branch was the vacant lot right next to Wenxin Jiyuan. For the first enrollment of the North China branch in Ninghai, everyone would be fighting tooth and nail to get in. The school district boundaries perfectly encompassed the entire Wenxin Jiayuan area. Overnight, this resettlement area that everyone looked down on was completely transformed. It became the most sought-after top-tier school district housing in Ninghai. Property prices skyrocketed like a rocket. The old neighbors who received resettlement housing years ago accidentally became filthy rich for the second time. Some sold one house, and it was enough for their son's down payment in Shanghai. Some took the old house they'd lived in for half their lives and traded it for cold hard cash. The elderly couple then traveled the world. For those 2 years, all of Ninghai talked about Wenxin Jiayuan. Some were admiring, some were green with envy, some regretted not buying sooner, some were stomping their feet in frustration. Every kind of emotion was on display, and right now I have 4 units in my hands. When the price hits its peak, I'll choose the right time to sell 3 of them, keeping 1 to live in. By then, forget about never worrying about money again. Even if Meng Meng decided to retire and enjoy life right now, she would live a life of leisure and comfort. Of course, if I wanted to make even more, with the information and capital I have, I could easily sweep up a few more nearby neighborhoods, but there's no need. Having been reborn once, I've come to realize that money is something you can never finish earning. Money is something I spent my whole life on, building a $100 billion fortune from scratch. But in the end, what did it matter? In this life, having enough money is fine. My daughter's smile, my wife's gaze, the peaceful moments when the family gathers for a meal. These are the things that are truly real to me. Tuhai sat in his car for nearly 20 minutes. The phone clutched in his palm was burning hot. Finally, he started the car. His father had roared so fiercely over the phone that if he really didn't show up, he feared he might never be able to go back to that home. The car wove through a few turns and stopped under that familiar old apartment building. He took a deep breath, went upstairs and knocked on the door. No one answered. He knocked again, but still no movement. He went back downstairs and ran to the fruit stall at the end of the alley. The stall was empty and had been cleared out. Even the old electronic scale was nowhere to be seen. The auntie selling vegetables next door poked her head out and recognized him.
Oh, little two? Looking for your sister? Yes.
Did my sister's family move away? They moved out around noon. The auntie's voice was loud and clear. A big truck came. A few young men were working away, and in no time they cleared everything out. I was wondering about it myself. They've been here for over 10 years. How could they just move like that? Tuhei's head began to throb.
Where did they move to?
I wouldn't know that. The auntie shook her head. Didn't your sister tell you? Tuhei didn't answer. He stood before the empty fruit stall, clutching his phone motionless for a long time. All of this was what Tu Meng heard over the phone later, and what I pieced together from her fragmented stories. That night, her phone rang. She answered and listened for a few moments. Her expression changed immediately. Without a word, she handed the phone directly to me. I took the phone. I heard Tu Zhengqi's commanding voice on the other end. He sounded incredibly arrogant. Chen, Zuisheng, listen carefully. That house was allocated to me by my unit. The ownership is in my hands. I've already invested it into a reverse mortgage project for my retirement. I'm going to process the paperwork tomorrow, unless you divorce Meng Meng. Don't even dream of staying in that house anymore. I held the phone in silence for 2 seconds. Then I said, Dad, we've already moved out. The other end went silent for 2 seconds. Moved out. Yes, we moved this afternoon. The house is empty now. You can come and take it back whenever you want. Another long silence. Then the call was cut off. I handed the phone back to Tu Meng. She looked at me, her eyes rimmed with red, but she didn't cry. Her voice trembled slightly. They really mortgaged the house.
Yeah.
She lowered her head. She gripped her phone tightly. She didn't say a word for a long time. Then she looked up at me and forced a smile. Forget it. We weren't going back anyway. I nodded and pulled her into my arms. The fruit wholesale supermarket at Wanjiahui was renovated and open for business. In the first month, business wasn't very brisk. Tu Meng would sometimes look at the empty shop with a hint of worry in her eyes. I wasn't in a hurry. There was still money in the account. We owned the shop. There was no rent to pay. The top floor apartment was still being finished. Life is meant to be lived day by day, not in a rush. A month later, Liu Xingrong called. He said the renovations were complete. We went over for the final inspection. The moment we stepped inside, Tu Meng stood frozen in place. The wall between the living room and the balcony had been completely knocked down. Liu Xingrong had actually installed a set of floor-to-ceiling sliding glass doors. Right now, the doors were wide open. Sunlight from the balcony flooded in, filling the entire room with a golden glow. The balcony had been transformed. The concrete floor was covered with rot-resistant outdoor wood. Flower beds were built in the corners, planted with climbing roses and blue plumbago. The trellis was already up, although the vines hadn't covered it yet. Spots of green were already starting to climb. In the southeast corner sat a round rattan table, along with 2 chairs. On the table, there was even a rustic ceramic vase, with a few sprigs of hydrangeas. A glass dome covered half the balcony. It was transparent, letting the sunlight through, while keeping the rain out. Tu Meng walked in slowly. She looked around for a long time, then covered her mouth with her hand. Her eyes were red with emotion. Chiang Qian was the one who rushed in cheering. She had been downstairs, being shown around by Lu Xingrong's assistant. She had been looking at the apple tree, but when she turned around and saw her parents, and realized her mom was gone, she ran upstairs on her short little legs. As soon as the door opened, she was stunned. Then she let out a wow. She dashed into the living room and spun around. Then she dove onto the rug and spun again. The apple green sofa, the round table, the glass cabinet, everything made her exclaim, "Mommy, it's so beautiful here." I looked at the two of them. Suddenly, the multi-billion-dollar contracts and corporate takeovers from my past life. The moments of glory under the spotlight, none of it compared to even a fraction of this moment, and the good news just kept coming. 2 months later, the fruit wholesale supermarket, which had been quiet, suddenly saw a boom in sales. Part of it was thanks to Tu Meng's beauty live streamer image. This was my idea, I told her. Meng, every day the customers in the shop are new. Why don't you try live streaming? You don't even need to try hard to sell. Just set up your phone and record how you usually sell fruit, how you arrange the stock, and how you chat with the customers. Tu Meng was a bit bewildered at the time. Live stream? Me? I don't know anything about that. You don't need to. Like I said, just be yourself. I prepared 2 outfits for her. Not the flashy kind of live streaming clothes, just simple linen shirts and solid colored aprons. Her hair was tied back in a quick bun. She looked fresh and clean. We didn't use any of those weird filters for the lighting, just a warm-toned ring light shining on the fruit stall. The backdrop was the stall at Wanjiahui. Fresh seasonal fruits were neatly arranged on wooden shelves, with handwritten price tags. They even had Chiangqian's scribbled handwriting on them. In the first week, the live stream only had an average of 3 to 5 viewers. Tu Meng wasn't in a rush. When no one was talking, she just lowered her head and organized the stock. Occasionally, she'd look up and smile at the camera. She'd say things like, "The strawberries are very sweet today," or "The blueberries just arrived." By the second week, one evening, she was scrolling through her phone and saw a farmer selling blueberries directly from their orchard in the neighboring province. He was squatting on the edge of the field, sighing deeply with every breath. Tu Meng watched the video over and over. First thing the next morning, she called the supplier. She placed an order for 500 pounds right then and there. She didn't write a script or anything. She just displayed the fruit on her live stream. She simply mentioned that these blueberries were delicious and that life isn't easy for the farmers who grow them. She just wanted to help out however she could. That night, hundreds of people suddenly flooded into the live stream room. The comments started flying by. "Yes, so beautiful. Is she really buying these just to help the farmers? I just placed an order to support a seller with a heart." Tu Meng was stunned. She started answering questions, completely flustered. Her face turned bright red. The next day, the platform began pushing massive traffic her way. As soon as she added the support farmers tag, the viewers poured in like a dam had burst. By the third day, orders were jumping constantly, no longer one by one, but page after page, the order printer whirred from morning until night. It hummed incessantly without a single break. It wasn't just online either. The physical store was absolutely exploding. Roadwork began at the main entrance of Wanjiahui. They were renovating the city's underground pipe network. The construction notice estimated a duration of 8 months. With the main gate closed off, vehicles couldn't get through. The crowd that usually headed for the main street shops suddenly swarmed toward the north side entrance. And that north entrance was exactly where Tu Meng and I had our shop. Trucks arrived one after another, forming a long line right in front of my store, unloading in the front, loading up in the back. Mangoes had just hit the shelves on this side, while on the other side, wholesalers were already waiting with invoices to place orders. "Boss, give me 5 more crates of Jinhua mangoes. Are there any shine muscats left?"
I'll take 10 crates of cherries.
Buying in bulk, remember? In the span of a single day, Tu Meng and I were worked to the bone. Forget having a meal. We had to fight just to find a second to grab a sip of water. When we got home, Tu Meng collapsed onto the sofa. She didn't even have the strength to lift her hand and brush her hair. The next day, I quickly asked Lu Xingrong for help. We hired 5 more people. Only then were we finally able to catch our breath. "Little brother, I found the people you were looking for." Lu Xingrong's voice boomed loudly over the phone. I wiped my hands and tucked the phone against my ear.
Brother Lu.
"Sorry to trouble you with this. I'm always happy to help the boss." He paused for a moment. Then he started listing them off in detail. One truck driver, has a veteran, has 8 years of experience driving heavy vehicles, class A license, and a perfectly clean driving record. Then there are 2 young women. One studied e-commerce. She used to work at an MCN company. She knows all the tricks for boosting live stream traffic. The other one studied communications. She's sharp and has an adorable look. She's a sweet talker, perfect for keeping the energy up in the stream. He lowered his voice. Little brother, I'm truly impressed by you. How did you know exactly what was going to happen? That road work in front of the gate? Was that really from reading feng shui? I smiled. Brother Liu? You're in real estate. Whether feng shui is real or not, don't. You know the answer to that better than I do? There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then a hearty laugh broke through.
Right.
Some things only exist if you believe in them. Little brother, I truly admire your vision. I didn't offer any further explanation. The main gate would be under construction for 8 months. I did indeed know about the underground pipe network beforehand. In my past life, it was for this very reason, that the North Gate became the primary entrance. That once deserted corner was transformed into prime real estate by the sheer flow of people and vehicles. Back then, a feng shui master even made a special trip there. He pointed at the pillar at the North Gate and spoke. He called it the Dragon Pillar suppressing the water. And the shop next to it was the reclining tiger hiding the wind. The rumors made it sound incredibly mystical. And now, I was reaping the full benefits of this location. But even I didn't fully expect that Tu Meng's live stream would become such a massive hit. A barefaced beauty supporting local produce. 340 barefaced beauties supporting agriculture. 220 27039 09740 33% 238 1980 20380. Boosting domestic consumption. 22380 10 2700 340 348 89 23 203 980. Boosting domestic consumption. Rural revitalization. Tu Meng checked every box that the brands wanted to promote. The traffic poured in like a flood, all focused on her. Sometimes during a rare, quiet moment, she would sit dazed by the display shelves.
Zuisheng, I did the books today.
Last month, between online and offline, we made 1.37 million yuan. That's a profit of 210,000 yuan. Her expression was a bit vacant. Sometimes she wakes up early in the morning, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this is all just a dream. Fearing that when the dream ends, she'll still be in that old cramped dormitory, with Qianqian sleeping against the wall. And her husband still hasn't come home. She trailed off, unable to continue. I took her hand in mine. It's not a dream. And even if it were, it's a dream we built with our own 2 hands. She looked up at me. Her eyes were slightly rimmed with red. I had to find a way to distract my wife. Meng, making money isn't the most important thing for us right now. Right now, making money isn't our top priority. She tilted her head and looked at me. I said Qianqian has a follow-up appointment at the hospital next month. Plus, she's starting to get homework from preschool now. Tu Meng was silent for a few seconds. Are you saying I'm not spending enough time with her? I'm saying that we aren't short on money anymore. I looked directly into her eyes. What we're missing is being there to watch her grow up. She took a deep breath. I know, but I just can't seem to stop. Sometimes I feel like if I stop, all of this will just vanish. It won't go anywhere, I said with a smile. But she suddenly frowned. She said, seriously? Qianqian starts primary school next year, the nearest public school. The quality of teaching there is very mediocre. The good schools in the city either require residency, or you have to pay a massive choice fee. Houses near the top schools in the city center, even the old run-down ones, are 40 to 50,000 yuan per square meter. A small 50 or 60 square meter flat would cost over 3 million yuan. She spoke faster and faster, as if something was driving her to keep racing forward. No, I have to earn a bit more. Seeing her like this, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Meng, don't worry. Our daughter is very blessed, and blessed people can afford to take it easy. She was stunned for a moment. Clearly, she didn't quite understand what I meant. I couldn't tell her about the North China Practice Elementary School just yet. The time wasn't right. Once that news is officially announced, half of Ninghai will go absolutely crazy. The fruit wholesale business was like a rolling snowball, getting bigger and bigger with every turn. The company registration was complete. I was the one who chose the name, Mengsheng Fruits. When Tu Meng saw the business license and saw our 2 names side by side, a faint smile touched her lips. It's official now. I suggested to my wife that we should offer higher wages. She nodded and adjusted the salaries up a level. Operations at the shop became much smoother. The 2 of us finally didn't have to be at the store every single day, especially the live stream room. The young staff members picked things up very quickly. Tu Meng only appeared during specific time slots, but every time she went live, the comment section would explode. The title, Fruit Beauty. I'm not sure when it started, but it spread far and wide. That afternoon, Tu Meng's phone rang. After she hung up, she told me the management of the old market notified her to come and collect her deposit. How much? 2,000 yuan. I laughed. That's not even half of what we make in a day now. Still, we can't just leave it.
Why give the management a freebie?
She gave me a playful glare. Then she started putting on her shoes. 20 minutes later, Tu Ming was standing at the entrance of that familiar alley. The rundown little fruit stall had a new owner. The new sign they'd put up looked very bright. She stared at it for a few seconds. She shook her head and turned toward the management office. All of this was what she told me. After she returned home, inside the management office, as soon as Manager Zhou saw her, he became so enthusiastic, it was like he was a different person. Once the paperwork was done, Manager Zhou pulled her aside to chat. He asked where we were living now. Tu Meng blurted out, near Wanjiahui, in Wenxin Jiayuan. Manager Zhu's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Wenxin Jiayuan. You guys are living in Wenxin Jiayuan. Tu Meng was confused.
Why? What's wrong?
Manager Zhou didn't answer. He turned around, found a document, and slapped it down in front of her. It was a copy of an official document with a red stamp. The title was very long. Tu Meng's eyes caught a few keywords. North China Affiliated Elementary School. Site selection, Hainan Gaoyu Complex. School District Division, Naihuang Yixia District.
Wenshin.
Her gaze moved down one line. There it was. Wenxin Jiayuan has been included in the school's enrollment zone. Below that was some small print. The announcement date was 3 days ago. What does this mean? Tu Meng didn't react immediately. Sister Zhou, who was standing nearby, started rambling. Your area is a top-tier school district now. The North China Practice Elementary School is moving there. That's the best school in all of Ninghai. Those old houses in Wenxin Jiayuan that nobody wanted before. Guess how much they're going for per square meter now? Tu Meng's mouth hung open, but she couldn't find the words. 130,000 yuan. Sister Zhou held up her fingers. 130,000, and people are still fighting to buy them. She assumed Tu Meng was just a renter. Her face was full of pity. Oh dear, if only you'd bought a place there sooner. Renting is just paying off the landlord's debt for them. Those owners are making a fortune now. Think about it. 130,000 per square meter. Even a small 100 square meter flat is worth over 10 million yuan. Tu Meng froze. Over 10 million yuan. Wenxin Jiayuan, 130,000 per square meter. The complex where she owned 4 houses. 4 whole houses. She told me later that at that moment her legs went completely weak. She had to lean on the table just to slowly sit down. Sister Zhou was startled.
What's the matter?
Your face is as white as a sheet. Are you feeling all right? Tu Meng shook her head. She opened her mouth to speak, but her voice was trembling. Sister Zhou, how much did you say the houses in Wenxin Jiayuan are worth now? 130,000 yuan.
Why?
Tu Meng didn't say another word. She just sat there, dazed, staring at the stack of documents on the table. She didn't move an inch. Then, she dialed my phone number. When my phone vibrated, I was in the shop checking the inventory list. The screen showed Dear Wife, so I picked up. There was no sound from the other end.
Meng Meng. Zusheng.
Wenxin Jiayuan. It's up to 130,000. I froze. The North China Affiliated Elementary School is right next door. The school district policy has been implemented. 130,000 yuan per square meter. I leaned back against the shelf. I was actually a bit surprised. In my past life, this news wasn't announced until a year later. In this life, it's half a year early. Meng Meng, come home first. Well, go check with the real estate agent. She gave a soft okay and then paused. Zuisheng, when you bought those 4 houses, did you already know something? I smiled. How could I have known? If I had known beforehand, I would have borrowed money to buy up the whole complex. Why would I even bother opening a fruit shop? There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then she gave a soft She hung up and rushed back, but someone else had already beaten her there. A black Mercedes was parked right in front of the shop. Lu Xingrong strode inside. Little brother, you've heard about the school district news for Wenxin Jiayuan, right? I set the order form down. I just found out. I was away on business. I came straight here the moment I got off the plane. He leaned in close and lowered his voice. Little brother, tell me the truth. Did you know about this policy beforehand? I let out a slow smile. Brother Liu, if I could predict school district changes, why would I still be in the fruit business? Lu Xingrong stared at me for a few seconds. Finally, he let out a loud laugh. Little brother, there are plenty of lucky people in this world, but nobody is ever as lucky and precise as you are. I just smiled and didn't reply. When Tu Meng returned, her face was still flushed. The 3 of us went straight to Fly High Real Estate. We could tell something was up the moment we arrived. A massive crowd was gathered outside. The doors were nearly bursting from the pressure of the people. Inside, it was even more packed. Are there any units left in Wenxin Jiayuan? I don't care about the layout.
I'll pay cash.
Zhou Fulai squeezed his way out from the crowd. He was drenched in sweat. His eyes lit up the moment he saw me. He rushed over to greet us. Mr. Chen, you're here. The customers nearby all stared in confusion. Why was this agency boss acting like had just seen his own father? I smiled. Manager Zhou, business seems to be going well. It's all thanks to you. Zhou Fulai bowed and scraped. He led us into a small private lounge. Mr. Chen, are you here to sell today? Zhou Fulai's eyes were sparkling. The units in Wenshin Jiayuan, those ones? Tu Meng bit her lip. The one on the 5th floor and the one on the 3rd floor. We're keeping the penthouse for ourselves. As for the last one, let's just wait and see. Zhou Fulai nodded repeatedly. He started doing the math. His pen scratched across the paper as the numbers appeared. He pushed the paper toward me. Mr. Chen, the 5th floor unit is 98 square meters. A conservative estimate would be 12.5 million yuan. The 3rd floor unit is 95 square meters. That's about 12.3 million. Together, that's 24.8 million yuan. I saw Tu Meng's fingers tremble slightly. I nodded. Fine, let's go with that price.
Zhou Fulai kept nodding.
Then he remembered something. Mr. Chen, about the commission. I laughed. Manager Zhou, you can't waive it this time, can you? Zhou Fulai was stunned for a moment. A complex look crossed his face. Mr. Chen, last time you told me that you'd let me earn the commission back next time. I thought you were just being polite, so I didn't take it to heart.
But you actually came back.
He looked at me with an intense, burning gaze. Lu Xingrong's eyes swept over us. Tu Meng also turned to look at me. I gave a small smile and put my arm around Tu Meng's shoulders. It has nothing to do with me. It's because my wife is as kind-hearted as she is beautiful. Hearing that, Tu Meng's face turned bright red. She gave me a playful little smack. My phone vibrated. 24.8 million yuan had been deposited into the account. I took a quick glance and tucked the phone back into my pocket. But Tu Meng couldn't stop staring at her own phone screen. She checked that string of numbers over and over. She even pointed at them with her finger, counting the digits several times before finally looking up.
Zuisheng.
Am I a multi-millionaire now?
I nodded.
That's right.
But I don't feel any different. She frowned, looking completely bewildered. The numbers are in the phone. The house is still right there. The shop is still as busy as ever. How did I suddenly become a millionaire? Lu Xingrong, standing nearby, burst out laughing. Sister-in-law, a wealthy person has to live like a wealthy person. That's the only way to really feel it. Little brother, take my advice. Move into a big villa. My company has a project over at Quihu. We just released a batch of detached villas. The environment is great, and they're very private. They have gardens and garages. I'll save the best one for you. Consider it my way of saying thank you. He spoke with total sincerity. I understood exactly what he was thinking. Now that the school district news for Wenshin Jiayuan was out, the value of the houses head hoarded and his shares in one Jiahui had skyrocketed even more than mine. His profits from this were no less than if Head developed 2 entire real estate projects. He wanted to build an even closer bond with me, but I shook my head. I appreciate the offer, Brother Liu, but we aren't moving. Tu Meng, standing beside me, nodded vigorously. Exactly. I'm not tired of that sunroom in the penthouse yet, and the roses on the balcony just started blooming. I have to go out and look at them every morning. It would be such a shame to leave them behind. When she said those words, her voice carried the kind of excitement only found in young girls. I looked at her, and the resolve in my heart grew even stronger. In my past life, there wasn't a single luxury villa I hadn't lived in, but those massive, empty houses, walking back and forth alone, the echoes were louder than any human voice. Now with the 3 of us together, huddled under the warm glass dome on the rooftop, sipping tea and watching the stars. It was better than any extravagant mansion could ever be. Seeing us both shake our heads, Lu Xingrong didn't push the matter. Instead, he immediately pivoted to a new idea. All right, if you don't want to move, then forget it.
But what about a car?
Right. A car.
With the way your business is going now,
You really ought to have a decent vehicle.
you'll be dealing with clients later on. You can't keep using a delivery truck to get around forever. He paused for a moment, then added another point. Besides, my sister-in-law is the fruit shishi now. If She's seen taking the bus, her fans definitely won't stand for it. That last comment made Shuming burst out laughing. She glanced at me, her eyes showing a hint of hesitation. I thought about it for a second and nodded. All right, there is an auto show next week. Let's go take a look. Half an hour later, we returned to Wanjiahui. Before the car even came to a full stop, I sensed something was wrong. A crowd had gathered in front of the shop. What was going on? Were they customers or just onlookers? Several men were blocking the entrance, hands on their hips and cigarettes dangling from their mouths. Through the hazy smoke, they radiated pure malice. My heart sank. I pushed the car door open and strode forward, shoving through the crowd. When I saw the state of the shop, my blood boiled. The live stream tripod was smashed on the floor, and the phone screen was shattered into pieces. The fruit baskets that were usually neatly arranged had been kicked over and trashed. Ogan tangerines were rolling all over the floor. The female employees were cowering in a corner, their faces pale with terror. Right where the live stream usually took place, the spot where Shumang always sat, was a middle-aged man. He had a buzz cut, a gold chain as thick as a thumb around his neck, and was sitting with his legs crossed. He was casually rotating 2 feng shui walnuts in his hand. He squinted at me, not even bothering to stand up. "You, the boss?" I glanced around the shop, my voice flat. "What do you want?" The buzz cut man tisked, slamming the 2 walnuts onto the table. "Let me introduce myself. The name's Brother Yong. I run a trading company, and am looking to expand lately. I've got my eye on this spot of yours." He stood up and got right in my face, looking me up and down. "This place is nice. Right by the north gate and set up for live streaming. Business must be booming, huh?" I didn't say a word. He continued. "I'll give you a price. 50,000. Take it and go open your shop somewhere else. I'm taking over this lease." He patted my shoulder. "Kid, give me some face here. Pack up and get out today." I looked down at the spot where he had patted me, then looked back up. "Brother Yong, was it?" "This shop isn't for sale." Brother Yong glared at me. "Kid, maybe you didn't hear me right." I said, "Give me some face. Are you gonna take it or not?" I let out a cold laugh. Just then, the car door behind us opened. Lu Xingrong strode over. "Who's causing trouble here?" Brother Yong turned around, his eyes narrowing. A sycophantic smile instantly plastered onto his face. "Oh, look at that! Chairman Lu."
What brings you here?
"Chairman Lu, what brings you here? Is this little shop under your protection?" Lu Xingrong walked up to my side and scoffed. "Protection? I'm the one who developed this entire Wanjiahui complex. It's my property. I'll give it to whoever I damn well please." He took a step forward. "Who the hell do you think you are, coming onto my turf to play gangster?" Brother Yong's expression shifted rapidly, his jaw tightening. In the end, he had no choice but to swallow his rage. "President Liu, why put it like that? I just came here to talk business. Harmony brings wealth, right? Talk business." Lu Xingrong pointed at the smashed tripod on the floor, and the bruised fruit scattered everywhere. "Is this how you talk business?" Brother Yong gave a forced laugh but didn't answer. He turned his head to look at me, his eyes full of venom. "Fine. Kid, since President Liu is here today, I'll give him face." He walked to the door, then looked back one last time. "But you'd better think long and hard about whether someone can protect you for the rest of your life." He waved his hand dismissively. The men followed him and vanished into the crowd. Silence returned to the shop. The young girls couldn't hold it back anymore and burst into tears. Shumeng rushed in from outside and threw her arms around me. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," I said, patting her back while staring out the door. Lu Xingrong spoke up. "Listen, kid, that guy, Lu Yong, specifically targets successful shops. He keeps a pack of thugs under him. He only left today because of me, but He's not the type to let a grudge go. In the future, you'll have to, I know. Brother Lu, thank you for today." I didn't say anything else. I just quietly knelt down and picked up the sugar tangerines scattered on the floor, one by one, carrying them back to the kitchen. The next day, the police station suddenly called me. "Is this Chen Zuisheng? Your driver, Sun Jian, just got into a fight with some people. He's in the hospital right now." I froze. A fight. It's about old Sun. "You should come down here." Shu Meng and I rushed to the hospital. We found the ward, and when I pushed the door open, I saw old Sun lying in bed. His head was wrapped in gauze, and one of his eyes was a bruised purple mess, swollen so badly it was just a tiny slit. A woman was sitting on a chair by the bed, her eyes red from crying. That must be his wife. 2 police officers were standing by the window. One was taking notes, while the other watched me with his arms crossed. When old Sun saw us, he struggled to sit up. I moved quickly to press him back down.
Don't move. What happened?
Old Sun opened his mouth, but no words came out. His wife's tears started flowing again, her voice choking up. "Boss Chen, my husband would never go looking for trouble. He's an honest man." "I know." I looked at old Sun. "Brother Sun, take your time. Tell me." Old Sun took a ragged breath and began to recount what happened today. He had just finished loading a shipment of dragon fruit. As he was driving out of the market gates, a group of men suddenly swarmed out from the sidewalk. They were armed with clubs and bricks, without a single word. They started smashing the truck. Some of them even climbed into the back and threw all the freshly loaded dragon fruit onto the road. Crate after crate was smashed to pieces on the pavement. Old Sun was a veteran. He jumped out of the truck and managed to take down 2 of them, but there were just too many of them. No matter how good he was at fighting, he couldn't fend off 7 or 8 guys surrounding him. He took a heavy blow to the back of the head. Before he passed out, he saw them destroying the rest of the goods and slashing the truck's tires. By the time he woke up, he was already in the hospital. When Old Sun finished, he gritted his teeth so hard. His jaw muscles bulged with fury. I walked out of the room with the 2 officers.
Officer, about this.
I said, handing over a cigarette.
Officer, about this.
I said, handing over a cigarette. The older officer took it. He put it in his mouth but didn't light it. That driver of yours, is he a veteran?
Yes.
Has never been the type to start trouble. The officer nodded. Those guys were fast. By the time we got there, all that was left was a pile of smashed fruit. Their license plates were covered up, and the surveillance cameras only caught a few blurry backs. We couldn't see any faces. So what happens now? A case has been opened, the officer said, glancing at me. But you know how it is. Unless there is a major organized crime sweep, cases like this are hard to solve. I understood. I walked back to the door of the ward. Shu Meng happened to be coming out. She had already given Old Sun's wife 8,000 yuan. She told her to let Old Sun focus on recovering. The shop's losses didn't matter. He should only come back to work when he was fully healed. During his recovery, his full salary would still be paid. Old Sun's wife followed her out, clutching Shu Meng's hand, too moved to even speak. As we walked out of the hospital gates, Shu Meng asked me what the police said. I told her the case was filed, but catching them would be difficult. She frowned. Then what do we do? Should we ask Liu Jinggrong for help? I shook my head. No need to involve him. The law has its ways, and the underworld has its own rules. Don't worry.
I'll handle this.
I called Gu Weidong at noon the next day. A black commercial van pulled up in front of the shop. The driver got out and opened the door. With the utmost respect, Shu Meng watched from a distance, looking a bit uneasy. I didn't explain much and just got in the car. The van twisted through several alleys and stopped at the entrance of an old neighborhood. The alley was deep, lined with old-style residential buildings, with peeling walls. We walked all the way to the very end. There was a noodle shop there. The sign was famous, though the characters had almost completely faded. I pushed the door open and went in. There were only 5 or 6 tables inside. Only one person was sitting at the very back. Weidong was hunched over, eating noodles. When he saw me, he pointed to the chair next to him and told me to sit. Want some? I glanced at his bowl. The color was dark and unappealing, and the noodles were unevenly cut. No thanks. He looked up at me. You're certainly blunt. If it's not good, why eat it? He stared blankly for a moment, then laughed. Chen Zuisheng, I can't tell if you're confident or just arrogant. He set his chopsticks down. But you're right, it's not good at all. But years ago, this stuff saved my life. I listened in silence as he told his story. During those specific years, my parents were persecuted because of their overseas connections. My sister and I were left with no one to care for us. We nearly starved to death. An old neighbor would bring us a bowl of these noodles every day. He poked at a few strands with his chopsticks, buckwheat mixed with elm bark flour. Hard to swallow, but it kept us full. Later, after I made it big, I went back to find that neighbor, but they had passed away long ago. He paused for a beat. But I still come here for a bowl every now and then, just to remind myself where I came from. I looked at the bowl of noodles and stayed silent for a few seconds. Brother Gu, let me say something that might be hard to hear. Eating well is the best way to honor the past. He looked up. You think eating like a pauper every day means you haven't forgotten your roots? I shook my head. That's just making yourself feel virtuous. If you really want to honor your roots, then eat the best food, wear the finest clothes, and live the best life possible. Do it so that the starving child you once were can see that we survived and that we're living better than anyone else. Weidong stared at me for several seconds. Fair point. He wiped his mouth. His expression returned to normal. Let's talk business. That Liu Yang is just a small fry, but the man behind him is Lai III from Changjiang Company. Lai III spent his early years in the underworld, but he's cleaned up his act and even got a seat on the District Political Consultative Conference. Weidong looked disdainful. I remarked, Hez already made it to shore, yet Hez still that arrogant. Hez not his own master. Weidong leaned back in his chair. Hez just a knife in someone else's hand. It's not that he wants to be arrogant, it's that if he isn't, hell be replaced by a sharper knife. I nodded. So, he hasn't truly made it to shore yet. Weidong smiled. I'll take care of this for you. Thanks. Don't thank me yet. He looked at me. Next week is my daughter's birthday. I'm planning a small party. Bring your daughter along. I looked at him. The father-daughter relationship is going well. I take it. A flash of tenderness crossed Gu Weidong's face. Thanks to your information. After I brought Nuanuan back, I've put a lot of effort into being there for her. I've put all my outside work on hold lately, just to stay home and play with her every day. He paused. She grew up without a father. Now she has one. But she doesn't have many friends. I want to introduce her to some kids her age. How old is your daughter? 5. My Nuanuan is 6. Perfect. They can play together. He looked at me. Bring your wife and daughter over next weekend. I nodded. Will do. When I got home, Shu Meng was watering the roses on the balcony. I told her everything. When she heard the watering can in her hand stopped midair.
Guidong.
The friend you mentioned last time.
That's the one. Shu Meng was clearly getting nervous.
What's his family like?
What should I wear?
What should Qian wear? Do we need to bring a gift? I couldn't help but laugh.
Meng Meng.
Don't be so tense. She took a deep breath. I've just never been to an occasion like this. This Gu Weidong you keep talking about. I've heard you mention him a few times. He sounds like Hez from some prestigious, noble family. I thought about it for a moment. The patriarch of their family is indeed a Gu. They really are a prestigious lineage. Xu Meng's face went pale, but then I quickly added, as for Gu Weidong himself, he's the biggest black sheep in that house. We hit it off because we're both kind of good for nothings. Hez just a guy drifting through life. Xu Meng shot me a glare. I put my arm around her shoulder and told her not to overthink it. Tomorrow it'll take you and Qian Qian to buy some clothes. Then, well, head to the auto show to pick out a car. Well, drive the new car next week. Well, show up in style and make you proud. They're really just an ordinary family. Maybe even a bit less well off than us right now. She was amused by my teasing and gave me a playful swat. The next day,
Eat the most high-end women's boutique in the Ninghai shopping center.
I picked out a cream-colored dress for Xu Meng. She took the dress into the fitting room. A few minutes later, the door opened and she stepped out. I was stunned. The dress fit her perfectly. The cream color accentuated her porcelain skin, with her hair draped over her shoulders. She looked down at me shyly. In that moment, I suddenly remembered all the stars and models I had seen in my past life, but not one of them could make my heart race like this. Does it look okay? She asked softly. I didn't answer. I just stared at her. The sales assistant standing nearby whispered, "Ma'am, this outfit was practically made for you." Xu Meng pursed her lips and smiled, looking at herself in the mirror. Then, she picked up the price tag. The smile on her face instantly froze. She turned around, her eyes wide with panic. "Honey, this one dress is 6,800 yuan. I handed my card to the assistant and pointed to another outfit on the rack.
That set and the skirt next to it.
Bring them all for her to try on." Xu Meng quickly grabbed my arm, lowering her voice. "It's too expensive." I ignored her and nodded to the assistant. "Go ahead." The assistant's eyes lit up and she hurried over to the racks. A few minutes later, the fitting room door opened again. She stepped out in a navy blue velvet gown. The plunging neckline fit her perfectly. The waistline was tailored with